Today, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, released a new study showing the U.S. experienced 18 separate billion-dollar weather and climate disasters, the third costliest year ever recorded. 2022 was also the third warmest year ever recorded in the U.S., about 1.5 degrees above average. So joining us with more is Rick Spinrad. He's the administrator, the head of NOAA, and a scholar in this area. Rick, thanks very much for being here with us. So let's start with the headline of this report that you've just released. What do you think people should take away from these facts?
Well, the basic message here is that most of the United States now, most citizens are facing these kinds of threats. They're hitting us with a frequency about once every 3 weeks, which is pretty frequent, and there is a wide variety of different kinds of disasters: floods, fires, drought, tropical storms. So it's a very significant impact. We're all paying the cost for it, and we're seeing increased abundance and frequency of these kinds of severe storms.
And this is on account of climate change. Look, I think the debate is long settled, but just explain why that's happening given the human impact on the environment.
So there's a few factors here. Obviously, climate change is one of the influences. We're also seeing development in a number of areas, especially in some of the coastal areas. But when you look at what's happening with climate change, we're basically adding more energy into the system, more heat, and that translates to more violent storms. It also translates to drier conditions. It also translates to conditions where you're more prone to have fires in certain parts of the country, as well as flooding for that matter. So there's more energy in the system translating into more severe storms and weather impacts like what we're seeing in the images you're sharing right now.
In our country and around the world. So we're talking then about it's happening. Mitigation and adaptation are important. So what is the federal government doing to help communities with these devastating storms that are now more regularly a part of our lives?
So at NOAA, we obviously have a responsibility associated with providing the forecasts and the information people need to make decisions, whether it's an individual decision that a parent has to make about evacuating from their home, or whether it's a corporation or a local district or a local community that has to make decisions. So at NOAA, we're providing the information people can use to make these decisions. The Biden administration, through things like the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and the Inflation Reduction Act, is also pouring additional resources in so we can improve these forecasts, so we can get better information, so we can prepare people even better to know when these hazards are about to hit and know what to do about the hazard.
And Rick, do you think it's going to be changing the settlement patterns of where people live? I mean, people are now facing a more frequent catastrophic scenes of flooding out west or storms here on the East Coast. Do you think that'll change the population distribution in the United States?
I think we're in a much better place than we've been in the past in terms of people having the information that they need to make decisions about, for example, buying property on the coast, living on the coast, what to be prepared for if they move to a particular area where there's prone to wildfire. That's really what we're all about, is giving people the information. We can't make the decisions for people about where they're going to live or how they're going to live there, but we can provide them the information that makes them better informed citizens, if you will. And in the end, I think our ability to adapt and be more resilient to these kinds of changes is going to be dependent on people's being aware of what the threats are that they are facing.
Yeah, that's a great point. I want to pick up on that, especially as we're looking at these just staggering pictures of what's happening out west. You know, the weather is something people talk about, right? And now it's on your phone all the time. But given the impact and the cost and the danger of these weather events, you know, how should people improve their consumption of weather information? Have you got a sense of how that might work?
Yeah, I think there's a few things people can do. First of all, know what your risk is, what your local risk. Are you living in an area that's prone to wildfires or flooding or tropical storms? Just being a little bit better informed. Then the next thing is know where to get the immediate information, the watches and the warnings. And weather.gov is a very reliable, all of government website to go to learn about what kind of threat you may be facing, when that particular threat might be hitting you. And then the third thing is just be prepared. Once you've got the information, you know what risk you're going to face. Do you know what your evacuation route will be? Do you have the emergency supplies on hand should you be faced with a loss of services? So those three things, I think, are the sorts of things every individual can do.
Great advice. Dr. Rick Spinrad, thanks very much. And thank you for NOAA doing this work.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.